Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the course code Eng455 lecture number 13. Today, as you can see, we will continue with our lecture on syntax. This is the third lecture on syntax, the study of sentences. Now, what we have studied so far about syntax? Yes, in our last two lectures on syntax, we dealt with the paradigmatic view of syntax, that what the structure of the sentence, because syntax is basically the study of sentences. So what the sentences they are composed of, what are the different possible components of sentences according to form and function, what are the different elements that constitute sentences. And inside that sentences, we studied phrases and clauses in detail. Phrases, yes, the combination of words without any verb or without any subject-verb agreement. We studied them in detail with respect to different types of phrases like noun phrase, a verb phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase, and prepositional phrase. Then after a phrase, we moved towards our next category, that was clause, and we studied that how a clause it is different from a phrase, and what are the two types of clauses, and how these two types they merge into each other to form different types of sentences. So this way, we till now we should have enough knowledge about the paradigmatic structure of the sentences or the syntax. Now we will move towards our next level. Yes, today our lecture is primarily based on the syntactic view of syntax. Now, as I mentioned in previous lecture, that if paradigmatic meant to be the horizontal or the vertical study of elements inside the sentences, then syntactics is the horizontal level of study in which we study this way the relationship of words inside the sentences, that what a sentence it is composed of, and what are the different elements, what are their relationships. Elements we know, but what are their relationships? A syntactic relationship, and such analysis is known as syntactic analysis. In English language, and with respect to all languages of the world, different syntactic analysis procedures they have been presented by different linguists. With respect to different schools of thought, we have different ways to analyze the syntactic and syntactically analyze the sentences, like immediate constituent analysis, ultimate constituent analysis, transformational generative grammar analysis, phrase structure rules, and even the latest ones are even the case grammar and stratificational grammar and tagmamics as well. But today's lecture would be based on the two types of syntactic analysis, that is immediate constituent analysis and ultimate constituent analysis. So we will start with what actually is meant by this syntactic analysis. Now, study inside the syntax. The syntactics is about horizontal relationship inside and between the sentences. As I mentioned earlier, that in paradigmatic view, if there is a sentence and we will study it like this, the different elements, and they have the relationship with the different noun clause, with the different noun class, verb class with the different verb class. So this vertical level study was known as paradigmatic view. But now we have this type of study which is known as the horizontal relationship. Now we will take the whole sentence and we will study the relationship of different words inside the sentences and outside that. So this is a syntactic study. Now how this syntactic literature it helps us. The syntactic knowledge, the syntactic literature dealing with the study of how sentences are structured throws us a hint that syntactic research should not only concern on how sentences are merged out of their parts, units or constituents, but also on how constituents are moved according to certain rules. Mean knowing a sentence does not mean that if we know that what is a verb inside a sentence, that's okay, this is a noun, this is a verb, this is a preposition, and this is adverb. This information is not enough to know about the structure of sentences, because the more interesting thing is how these different things, they are arranged inside a sentence. How with the help of these bits of classes or noun classes and verb classes, how they are combined together, how they are patterned to form a good grammatical and meaningful sentences. So our basic concern today is syntactic analysis. Now, if our basic concern is with analysis, syntactic analysis of sentences, so before that we should know that there are different types of syntactic process. Yes, a lot of syntactic processes are there which help us to formulate and define relationships or nature of sentences, embedding and conjoining, and so many types are there, but there are three major types of syntactic process. So we will fix our attention towards these three major syntactic processes. Now the first of them is discontinuous constituents. Now what happens in discontinuous constituent, that inside a sentence we have the broken down process of continuation. The continuity, it is broken down, that there is a flow of a sentence, and inside that sentence, for example, there is a word that should be together, but if we break up the word to make a sentence more grammatically perfect, we break up that combination, the continuity is broken down, then when we get a sentence with discontinuous constituents. Now usually we have examples with phrasal verbs. Sometimes we break the phrasal verbs, like the phrasal verb is pull down. Now, but to make it more grammatically sound, we use it by separating these two parts of phrasal verb, like John pulled the thief down. Now according to this phrasal verb, because the pull down is a single phrasal verb, now this is pull down, it is a single phrasal verb and it gives you meaning as together. But to give it a perfect grammatical form, what we did, instead of saying John pulled down the thief, we will more habitual to say John pulled the thief down. Now it is not the matter of right or wrong sentences. Obviously John pulled down the thief have the same meaning as this sentence, John pulled the thief down. But the thing is to enhance the stress pattern, to enhance a certain piece of information that is more important, to bring it at a forward place, we move some of the other parts. So this way the basic purpose is to get attention on some major elements of that sentence. Now for example, if I want my listeners or my readers to concentrate on this word, the thief, whom John pulled down. Actually it was the thief. So instead of saying John pulled down the thief, which means does not arouse that much level of consciousness or suspicion, I would like to say John pulled the thief down. Now my stress is on the word thief. So this way we break down this continuity procedure inside the sentence. Now look at another example. He pulled down the thief. Now exactly as I told you that it does not matter. It does not matter. It's not a matter of right or wrong, that when I am using them together, if I say the John pulled down the thief or he pulled down the thief, it's a wrong sentence. No, it's a perfectly correct sentence. But it's the matter of your knowledge you want to convey, it's the matter of your stress, it's the matter of anxiousness that you want to arise. That these are, because of these things you break off these elements, and as a result we get some syntactic processes known as discontinuous constituents. Can you give me another example that habitually you are habitual to use them? If you think about your ordinary life, often it happens that you break down the phrasal verbs like please, he switched the TV off. Yes, now switch off is one verb, is a one phrasal verb, but we usually use it as he switched the TV off, he switched the light on. Now again, the one phrasal verb is like switch on, but I am breaking up, he switched the light on. So this way this discontinuous constituents is one of the process with respect to syntactic elements. Then there is another syntactic process which is known as conjoining. Now what is conjoining? Actually what happens that when the elements, when a sentence is composed of a simple number of elements and you keep on adding elements, you keep on joining and adding and different and similar elements, then you get a syntactic process known as conjoining. For example, look at the first sentence. John, Julie and Mary will present a play. Now perfectly correct sentence, but maybe I want to add some more information. One person is saying that John, Julie and Mary will present the play. Another person is adding information. Now typically telling what each of these persons are going to do inside the play. Then John will sing, additional information. Julie will dance and Mary will play. So this way we are providing inside the existing sentence we add some more elements, and this effect is known as conjoining. Now another important syntactic process is of embedding. Embedding is actually that it is again addition of an element, but in conjoining we add different elements at different places, but in embedding we actually embed a whole clause inside another one. Not only few elements are inserted inside a sentence, but a whole clause is inserted inside a sentence. So this way the conjoining term, it gets changed into embedding. Now conjoining, again what is the difference between conjoining and embedding is that in conjoining it occurs in coordinate clause. Coordinate clause, yes, in dependent clauses, whereas in subordinate clauses there is embedding. Now look at the example. The boy is naughty. Now the boy is naughty. This is a simple perfect sentence, but embedding. The boy who came here yesterday is naughty. Now I am providing additional information about the boy who came here yesterday. The boy, not the boy who is here, but the boy who came here yesterday. Providing the extra information, usually in English known as appositive phrases. But then when we add a clause inside another clause, inside another sentence, then this addition of syntactic at syntactic level is known as embedding. So these are some of the important syntactic processes. Now as I mentioned in the beginning, that today we are going to start with the syntactic analysis. Syntactic analysis is a science of structure. The science, word science means systematic, very much rigorous and very much scientific in nature, mean together this structural analysis is basically, or called syntactic analysis, is a science of structures, because it all talks about the structure of sentences, which deals with the different structural elements of a language. Definitely, we talk, as we know, we talk in sentences. So about what is the structural element of a language? That is a sentence. So actually the syntactic analysis, it is about the syntactical structural analysis of the sentences. Now we have, as I told you, with the development in linguistics, we have different models of analysis. To analyze a sentence, we can use a wide range of analysis procedures, like immediate constituent analysis, the ultimate constituent analysis, TGG, transformational generative grammar, and some recent one are there, like tagmamics, like the case grammar, stratificational grammar, relational grammar, and the Mac-Halliday's functional grammar. So many approaches are there. There are a lot of approaches to syntactically analyze sentences. But at master's level, we usually focus on 3 levels of syntactic analysis, that is immediate constituent analysis, ultimate constituent analysis, and transformational generative grammar. So our lecture would be primarily focusing on these 3 types of syntactic analysis. Now again, there are 3 types of analysis are there, and we are going to start with the very first one, known as immediate constituent analysis. Short form is ICA, immediate constituent analysis. Now immediate constituent analysis deals with the immediate binary division of a sentence. Immediate means that you have a sentence and immediately at the very next level you get a binary division. Now what does it mean by binary division? Yes, by 2. So binary division means dividing into 2 parts. So when quickly you have a sentence and immediately you divide one sentence into 2 components, you identify 2 components of a sentence. So this immediate constituent analysis starts with the binary division. Then what happens next? That if at first level one sentence divided into 2 components, then each of that component, if possible, are further divided into 2 elements. If this is a sentence, then on both sides we get at the first level 2 parts. Then on the third level, out of each 2 parts, we have further 2 parts. And if there is still more levels are available, we keep on dividing sentences parts into 2 parts and 2 parts. So at every level we have a binary division, a division of one component into 2, and these divisions, they continue till we get the last smallest indivisible part of that analysis, and usually in a sentence that is a word with respect to immediate constituent analysis. Now further, that this immediate constituent analysis, it is the division, if I define it, it is a division of a componential part of a sentence is continued till we get the immediate constituents. Now what are the immediate constituents? We will discuss them, but before that let me introduce with the founding person of this technique, Leonard Bloomfield, and the era is 1939. Do you know who Bloomfield is? A famous linguist, belongs to a school of linguistics known as American structuralism. And the era 1940s, yes, the time when this linguistics knowledge or the modern linguistics was getting popularity. So he was the first one. The importance of this analysis is the Bloomfield was the first one who came up with this idea of syntactic analysis. He provided a base to have a syntactic division of sentences, that how we can break up sentences. And once again, at syntactic analysis, your paradigmatic analysis of sentence, that knowledge is going to help you a lot, because if you know what noun phrase, verb phrase, and adjective phrases are, then you definitely can divide, get that components out of the sentences. So we will continue with this immediate constituent analysis. We have another definition, that actually when we say that this is immediate constituent analysis, then what is the basic principle? The fundamental aim of this immediate constituent analysis, the basic principle of this analysis technique is to segment a set of lexical units into two maximally independent sequences. And what are these maximally independent sequences? Immediate constituents. Yes, at what level you have a single unit, a single sentence, and at the second level you get two immediate constituents. At the third level you get two further immediate constituent of every single constituent at second level. So this way you keep on having this binary division from one level to the other. Now, if I give you an example, now for example, we have a phrase, black dress in Swiss style. Now this is a clause, a phrase, a black dress in a Swiss style. Now if I ask you what are the components in this phrase, how you are going to identify what are the constituent elements of this phrase? Yes, a black dress in Swiss style. So these six are the constituent elements of this phrase. So morphologically, how we divide, we identify these parts. So this is the segmentation of constituent, that we keep on getting the binary division from one level to second level to third level. Now here we need to define what because in the immediate constituent analysis the basic concept is of immediate constituent. So what are these immediate constituents? An immediate constituent is a word or a group of words that functions as a single unit within a hierarchical structure. Yes, it can be a single word, or it can be a combination of words, and the basic thing is that it has a single unique functions within the hierarchy of sentences. If there is a sentence at the second level, this sentence should get divided into two constituents, two immediate constituents. And then if there is a component and if it has different parts, so we need to define it into further immediate constituent. So this way these parts at a hierarchical structure level are known as immediate constituents. And the linguistics procedures which divide sentences into their components, parts or constituents in this way is known as constituent analysis. Constituent analysis when you divide a sentence into its constituent. And now constituent analysis you have this at the top level, and further in constituent analysis we have two types of analysis: immediate constituent analysis on one hand and ultimate constituent analysis on second hand. And then we have other like phrase structure, grammars and so many things, but today our concern is with immediate and ultimate constituent analysis. Now as we are dealing with immediate constituent analysis, so another valid definition is the segmentation of a sentence up into its immediate constituents by using binary cuttings. cuttings units, its ultimate constituents are obtained is an important approach to the realization of the nature of language called immediate constituent analysis. This definition gives you one idea. Once that a language structure can be broken down into constituent, and the second basic thing is that this is very important. This analysis, this constituent analysis, is a very important procedure to know and to learn about the structure of language. If you cannot divide sentence into constituent, then these sentences, they would be very complex to understand, and they would be very complex to get realized by the especially by the learners of that typical language. So if you want to learn a language, you need to have this knowledge that how to break down the sentences into its constituents parts, and the technique which helps us to identify the different parts to help us to realize the structure of sentences is known as a constituent analysis, so or immediate constituent analysis. As I told you, the immediate constituent analysis, it talks about the immediate constituents. Now, from theory to practice. Now let me tell you how we with respect to this analysis procedure, how we break up sentences. You can see over here that my sentence is poor John ran away. This is my sentence depicted over here with the help of S symbol. Now at first level, because I told you the binary division idea is very important. Binary division means at every level one component can be broken down only into two components. So one sentence is divided into two parts, the subject and the predicate. Subject, if you look back at the sentence, what is the subject? Poor John. And what is the predicate? Ran away. If you have the knowledge that usually the predicates, they have the verbs, and the subject, they are the noun or the noun phrases. So a sentence is there, and it is divided into two immediate constituents, that is poor John and ran away. Poor John is the subject, ran away is the predicate. Now, and as you can see that this noun or the subject is a noun phrase actually. So again this subject is made up of two elements, two further constituents. What are these? Subject, poor John, has two constituent elements. One is an adjective and one is a noun. So poor is an adjective and John is a noun. So subject, poor John, identified poor as the adjective and John as the noun. So this is a noun phrase composed of an adjective plus a noun. Now look at the predicate part, ran away. Once again comprised of two elements, ran away. What is the ran word? Yes, it is a verb. And what about the away? Away, it's a particle coming with the verb phrase ran, because you know ran away is a verb phrase. So that away word is actually the particle of ran. So accompanying ran verb. So this is a whole is a phrasal verb or a verb phrase, and then verb phrase, I mean it has two parts. The ran word is the major verb and away is the particle of that verb. Now look at another example. I mean I have elaborated, I have taken a big one example over here. The small lady listened to me attentively. Now different parts are there. If I mean look at the individual parts, then I can say okay, there is an article the, small adjective, lady noun, listen verb, to is accompanying listen, me object or the once again a pronoun, attentively adverb of manner. So I mean different parts are there. But according to immediate constituent analysis, at very first level I can divide this sentence into only and only two constituent parts. So what are the two constituent parts? Usually they are subject and predicate. Okay, and subject, or what is predicate? That is a verb phrase. So do not be confused about this VP over here, because this VP is actually what stands over here for the verb phrase. Okay, so at the very first level, the sentence is divided into two parts, that is noun phrase and a verb phrase. Now noun phrase, what is noun phrase over here in the sentence? The small lady. And here is the verb, so this is the predicate or the verb phrase. Inside this noun phrase, you can see there are three things over there. There is an article, the, there is an adjective, and there is a noun. So I can see that in noun phrase I have three things. One, at first level, it is have a determiner, that is the. And at second level, inside noun phrase, we have again a noun phrase. Yes, the combination of small and lady. That is again a noun phrase. So noun phrase, again I will divide it into two parts. And that noun phrase is composed of an adjective and a noun. Adjective, that is small, noun, that is lady. So this way we have received this immediate constituents parts of the first part of that sentence. Now look at the second part. Listen to me attentively. Again a verb phrase. Inside that verb phrase we have, if you look at the sentence carefully, listen to me and attentively. Two parts are there. Now listen to me and attentively. What is attentively? Yes, adverb. So I will again divide this verb phrase into one verb phrase plus a determiner. That determiner over here is adverb. And again inside that verb phrase, that is listen to me, again listen, what is the word listen? That is a verb. So verb is a listened, but to me, again there is a verb phrase, to me. That is a preposition and a non-propositional part. So this way, with the help of this immediate constituent analysis, we can divide sentences into its immediate constituents. So in immediate constituent analysis, we have two important notions, that is of structure and that is of function. That we divide sentences into different structures, and every structure has its own function. So how we get this structural idea in immediate constituent analysis? Number one, in ICs, that is immediate constituent analysis, the relationship is analyzed and identified after each cut is made. What is a cut? Yes, every next level of analysis means sentence. The first cut is sentence is composed of a subject and a predicate. Say third cut, maybe a noun, that the subject is composed of a noun phrase. The fourth cut, that noun phrase is further composed of two parts, of noun and an article or an adjective. So we have cuts. At the very first level, and at every part, we identify every part with the help of every cut. The first cut. Yes, the first cut, where we divide a sentence into two parts, subject, predicate, or noun phrase, verb phrase, different people do it different ways. But again, one sentence into two parts. So at the very first cut yields structures that function as subject and predicate. Now look at the example. The boys shyly touched the puppy. The boys. Now subject, because it is comprised of a noun phrase. Shyly touched the puppy. It is all the information that you can put into a predicate. So on the basis of this division, at very first cut, we divide a sentence into subject and predicate. And these two cuts, these divisions, tell us the function of these parts, that what is the subject and what is meant by the predicate. We know their definition with the help of these. Like in structures, we have noun phrase. So what is the function? Subject. In structure, we have verb phrase. So what is the function? Predicate. So this way, their structures gives us information about their function. Then this was about the first cut. Now what happens in the second cut? The second cut yields structures that function as verbal element and complement within the predicate. Mean, for example, if I have cutted subject on one side and I have cut predicate on the other side. Now inside the predicate I have verb phrase, and inside that verb phrase we have so many things inside that. For example, the boys shyly touched the puppy. Now shyly touched the puppy was a whole predicate, but at second cut I will divide it into two parts, shyly touched and the puppy. Because I know that shyly touched is a verb phrase, the puppy is again a noun phrase. So one phrase divided into two noun and verb phrases. So what is the structure? Shyly touched, a verb phrase, and because it is containing the verb, so it is a verbal element. And the puppy, noun phrase, because here the noun phrase is that it is complementing object. Because he shyly touched what? The puppy. So it is the object and complementing the object because the way it touched the puppy shyly. So this way it is complementing the object. So according to the structure we can determine its function at the second level, at the second cut as well. Now final cut. By final cut, I do not mean that there are only 3 cuts. By final cut, it means that we start from the first cut, second cut, and we keep on continue this process till we get the final cut. And at final cut, what happens? Every individual element or constituent in that sentence is identified and broken down. We identify every single element in a sentence. For example, the boys shyly touched the puppy. Now every individual constituent, the determiner, article, function, modality. Boys, noun, function, head, it is the head of noun phrase. Shyly, adverb, function, modifier, because it is modifying how he touched, shyly touched, modifying information about the verb. Verb, touched, and what is the verb? That is head. The puppy, the article, again a modality, and puppy, noun, again head. So this way at the final cut we get every single constituent elements, its structure and the function. So this way, this immediate constituent analysis, it helps you to identify the structures till the head level, till the modality and the modifiers level. Now when we represent immediate constituent analysis, usually we make use of T diagram. As if you remember, we have I have just explained 2 examples where I showed the structure of the sentences with the help of T diagram. Actually the T diagram, they are important and they are mostly people they prefer tree diagrams for analysis purpose. The tree structures, they express a fundamental insight of syntactic analysis. That insight is that sentences do not simply consist of strings of lexical categories. Rather, within any sentence, words are grouped together to form phrases, which then combine to each other to form still larger phrases, and so on. So how the process continues. We have words, chunks, and then words are combined to make phrases. And then phrases combine to make bigger phrases, phrases to combine, and then we can have clauses, and then clauses, sentences, so the structure keeps on developing. So this way we get a tree-like structure from one individual item and keep on adding and keep on addition level, and we get a tree-like structure. So whenever we are analyzing structures, the linguists or the students or even the writer, the analyst, he uses the tree structure diagrams to analyze the sentences. Now, but tree diagrams are are important and easy way to show the structural analysis, but they are not the only way. Yes, they are one of the important ways, but they are not the only ways to perform structure analysis. There are other methods that are available to analyze the structures. What are these? As I mentioned, that beside the tree diagram, there are many different ways available to analyze the structure of sentences. If you look at the figure, this is another way to analyze structures of sentences, and this way is known as unlabeled bracketing. What we do, we identify the different parts of sentences by making boxes, and usually we do not label them. Now look at the example. He is a famous singer. Now first box, this box is a complete box showing what this is a whole sentence. Now inside that whole sentence, at second level we have two boxes. He at one box, and is a famous singer in a big box, another big box inside the one at the top. So inside one sentence we have two parts. Then is a famous singer, because it is a more lengthier part, inside that there are more parts, so we have further boxes. Now is a verb, so again identified with the help of another box, and a famous singer in a third level of box. This is the third level of box. And again inside a famous singer we have three different things: a noun phrase, a article, famous adjective, singer, a noun. So again that noun phrase is divided into three parts. For a I have one box, famous I have another box, singer I have another box. So three boxes for a famous singer. So look, this is again we are again dividing into different parts. One big box for the whole sentence, inside that second box for the second level of cut, for the third type of boxes for the third level cut, and you keep on adding boxes till you get each individual item of that sentence separated. So this is another way to perform the structural analysis. Another way, this way is known as use of Chinese brackets. If you see, this is the way. This is that we analyze the sentences by using these brackets known as Chinese brackets. Now at the very first level, how it happens? Very first level, the man bought a car. The first level parenthesis, that this is a one complete sentence. Now at over here, now inside that one big sentence we identify two parts. This idea of binary division, it is important for all types of models to represent syntactic analysis. So look over here, the man bought a car. Again subject and predicate. Subject inside this first bracket was for the major sentence. Now second level, this one is for the man won and bought a car, predicate. Then because the man again can be divided into different parts, so the third level bracket is used. The separate, man separate, and bought a car, again bought separate and a car separate. But because a car, still we have a combination, still we are not having single constituent element, so another level of brackets, and where we will again divide this in a car into a and car. So this way 1, 2, 3, 4. If you count on the sides, there are 4 brackets. So we have 4 steps to get this level of analysis. Another interesting way. This seems to be a bit complicated, but very interesting way to analyze the structures of sentences. And over here, usually the labels, this is called labeled division. And labels like modifier, head, and qualifier, these words are used, these labels are used to show the relationship among the constituents. This is to some extent enriched IC analysis. since a mere cutting into ICs did not provide very much insight. The labels show the positionality defined functions of ICs. Now seems to be quite difficult, but it is not that much. Now the man, look at the sentence and keep on dividing. The man who lives near my house is a famous singer. Subject, predicate. Subject over here is labeled as head. So this is the very first bracket. If you see, this is the very first level. This is the head. This is representing this. And this part is modifier, the second part. Now inside this subject, so many levels of information are there. For example, the man is one head. So this head is second level, and because the man, there are two things, the modifier and man head. So we have the modifier, man as head. Now over here we have this part, who lives near my house. Now this is makes whole a modifier for this head. This head, this is a modifier. For this modifier, who is the head word, and again lives near my house is another head. In this who now separated, now lives near my house, in this head we have this head word, that is lives, and near my house, this is a qualifier. So we divided it into this head and this is qualifier. And in this head lives, this is a modifier, and near my house, so near again a my modifier, and in modifier and with this my house is again a head. Inside this head my house, again we have a modifier my and house head. Now look at the second part. This is the second part, verb phrase or the predicate part is a famous singer. Modifier for the head, but over here comprised of two things, is that is a head, a famous singer, that is a modifier. So divided into head and modifier. Now is single, but a famous singer still comprised of three constituents. So we will again divide it to a famous singer, a modifier, but a famous singer as head. Again inside that head, famous is a modifier and singer is a head. So this way, this kind of labeling, it again divides the sentence till it's the final constituent, till we get the individual elements of the sentences. But this kind of labeling is very important, because this makes very much clear the idea of modifiers, heads and qualifiers, and give you more knowledge about the grammatical relationships, because the knowledge of modifier, qualifiers or heads, they give you more grammatical knowledge about the relationship between the words. So this was another way to represent structural analysis of sentences. Now again I would like to make it clear that these categories like subjects, predicates, or instead of that noun phrases, verb phrases, adjectival phrases, or some people like modifiers, head, qualifiers, they are all accepted with respect to immediate constituent analysis, because this is the way the different linguists, they try to analyze the structure of sentences. They performed the structural analysis, and they keep on using the different categories. So once again back to tree diagram, because I told that I mentioned that there are several techniques available to represent your structural analysis, but tree diagram is the most popular one. Tree diagram is the one which is most randomly and most effectively used by people to analyze the sentences. So now again we will focus our attention to immediate constituent analysis with respect to tree diagrams. But before that, let me explain you that there are certain limitations on the part of immediate constituent analysis. What are those limitations? Number one, immediate constituent analysis has is and does it's in immediate constituent analysis, it is not possible to analyze such structures. For example, some sentences that are structurally similar but semantically they are different. If I make it clear, they create ambiguity. Ambiguous sentences, they are very much difficult to analyze with the help of ICA. Now look at the example. Robert is easy to flatter. Robert is eager to flatter. If with respect to ICA, I perform the structural analysis, what I would get that Robert is easy to flatter is comprised of two parts, subject and a predicate is easy to flatter. In that is easy one phrasal part, verb part, and to flatter again a prepositional part. Now look at another sentence which seems quite similar to it. Robert's subject is eager to flatter. Again I have predicate, and inside that predicate I have this is eager, that is the verb part, and to flatter, that is a prepositional part. But if these sentences are showing the same structures, do we get the same meaning out of these two structures? Is easy to flatter and is eager to flatter, the meanings totally get changed with these structures. If I perform the structural analysis, it shows that these two sentences, they are structurally very similar, but semantically they are totally different from each other. So with respect to ICA or immediate constituent analysis, we are not able to understand such sentences which are structurally similar and semantically different. The ambiguous sentences, they are difficult to explain with the help of this ICA. Another limitation of ICA is that when the same strings of words can be associated with more than one tree structure, it is said to be structurally ambiguous. Previously I was talking about semantic ambiguity of sentences. Now there is another way of ambiguity in sentences, that is when the sentences, they are structurally ambiguous. Now look at this sentence. I bring new pens and pencil. Now if I analyze this, structurally analyze this sentence with respect to ICM, I, one part, subject, bring, verb. In verb predicate, in the whole verb predicate, this is verb. New pens and pencils, or it is new pens and pencils. Again read the sentence, look at the sentence. Whether this word new that you can see over here, whether this word new, it is for both pens and pencils, I bring new pencils and new pens, both things are new, or this word new only stands with pens. I bring new pens and pencils, pencils are not new one. So these sentences, they are structurally ambiguous. If we analyze this, if we represent them with the help of ICA tree diagrams, we will get confused where to put this word new, whether with the pens or whether with both pens and pencils. So this kind of structural ambiguity cannot be explained with the help of ICA. Another limitation of ICA, yes, IC analysis does not clarify the nature and function of constituent words. Yes, when we perform ICA, until and unless we our own tells, okay, that this is this part of the word, this is this constituent, and this is this constituent, and this constituent has this function, until and unless we do not specify in tree diagram, the tree diagrams or the basic idea of ICA does not make it clear that what are these constituents and what are their functions. Like we cannot get the ideas of function. Now for all these problems, definitely we do not have a solution for all of these problems, but for this final problem we have one solution. And to meet the last limitation, as I'm telling you, the idea of structural ambiguity and semantic ambiguity of sentences, it has not been resolved so far. Meaning it's beyond my knowledge if it has been resolved, meaning nowadays, but still not resolved. So I will put it in question mark. But I am talking about the last limitation. What was the last limitation? That the ICA does not make clear the nature and the function of constituents. So to answer this problem, or to solve this problem, the linguists who are working with ICA, they proposed a solution. And what this solution, that they further extend IC analysis procedure to show where we can reach and show can up till the class, type and function of constituent words. Yes, this is a bit the latest form of IC analysis. Okay, the previous three diagrams I showed you that were with the original or the previous ideas of IC analysis, but the next diagram I'm going to show is with the recent idea of IC analysis. Now look at the sentence. Marisa have been playing tennis for several years. Now my sentence, Marisa have been playing tennis for several years. S is at the very first level is divided into two parts. Subject, that is noun phrase, Marisa, and predicate phrase, that the second part, have been playing tennis for several years. Now inside my noun phrase I have a single noun, that is a Marisa, and inside my predicate phrase I have three parts. Verbial group, that is have been playing, not a single verb, rather a combination of linking auxiliary and main verbs, that is have been playing, so verb group VG. And then we have a noun phrase tennis, and then we have a adverbial phrase for several years. Now inside that verbial group, this is important. This is something that has been introduced recently. Inside that verbial group, we do not only have this main verb, that is a play, but also we have auxiliary verbs. And these auxiliary verbs, they have different functions. Now one function of auxiliary is that they are telling you the tense. Which tense have been playing? Which tense? Perfect continuous. So one thing is that they are telling you that this is the present tense. Have is used. In past perfect continuous, had is used. So this is have. A presence of have shows that this is the present tense. Now the presence of been shows this is the perfect, because you know that this have, this shows this is usually used in continuous tense, in perfect tenses. And presence of progression, that is being, ing with the main verb play, that was used over with this main verb play, that is showing the progression. So auxiliary has three aspects: tense, perfect and progression. So now we are not only getting the constituent element, we are also getting their functions as well. Now noun phrase tennis. And in adverbial we have for several phrases, we have this actually the prepositional phrase, because we have a preposition over here. Preposition is for, and then several years, again a noun phrase. Noun phrase is composed of several and adjective and a noun, several years. So this is the way, this is the latest development in immediate constituent analysis, where we not only show that these are the constituents, rather we make it very much clear that what are the different constituents, what are their forms as well as their functions. Now some assumptions of IC are there, that the biggest linguist unit or construction is sentence. Definitely the top level is also always a sentence. Then a sentence is constructed by phrases and thus can be analyzed into phrases. Means second level we always divide a sentence into phrases. And then phrase is combined, is combination of words, is constructed by words and thus can be analyzed into words. So on the basis of these assumptions, this idea of ICA was developed. Now immediate constituent analysis and then ultimate constituent analysis. Because these two types of analysis, they are quite related, so I've added it over here, that ultimate constituent analysis, it also talks about the same way of analysis like immediate constituent analysis, but it only differs with respect to the last final cut, where it talks about that we should carry our analysis not only to the immediate parts constituent, but rather to the ultimate constituents. And for ultimate constituent analysis, these ultimate constituents are morphemes. So the ultimate constituent analysis of a sentence considers morphemes rather than a word, because in ICA we have a word at the final cut, whereas in ultimate constituent analysis we have a morpheme at the final cut. Now the proponent of this idea, who gave Hockett, he mentioned that morphemes are the elementary building blocks of the language in its grammatical aspect. So because the morphemes are the grammatical units, so we should continue our analysis till the morphemes, not the words. The ultimate constituents, because ultimate constituent analysis talks about ultimate constituents. So what are these? These are the smallest meaningful units which any given construction can be broken down to, consisting of a morpheme at the morphological level and a word at a syntactic level. At a syntactic level analysis, you divide a word into morpheme to get the least possible part, the final part of a sentence. Now I would make it clear with the help of this example. The boys played with the footballs. Now with reference to ultimate constituent analysis, the first step is almost same. The subject, we have a noun phrase and we have a verb phrase. The boys, noun phrase, played with the footballs, verb phrase. Now inside this noun phrase, the boys, article the, and boys again a noun. If we are performing the immediate constituent analysis, we will leave our breakup over here, that okay, the boys is a noun over here, so it will stop. But for our ultimate constituent analysis, we will say that this word boys, it is two morphemes, one word made up of two morphemes, boy and a plural s, because s is showing the plural. So this we will divide it further into n and plural, that n is the boy, is the noun, and s with this boy is showing the plurality. Similarly, in the verb phrase part, we have now played on one part as a verb and with the footballs on the other hand. Now played, again not a simple verb. We have inside a played P-L-A-Y-E-D, made up of two morphemes, play and ed. Now the play morpheme is a verb where ed morpheme is showing the past tense, because this is the past tense representation. On the other hand, verb phrase that we have with the footballs, we have with the footballs with, we have a preposition that is with, and then we have article the, and then we have noun and plural. Noun is football and plural is s. Sorry, in this picture my arrows, they have been moved a bit on the other side, but usually you have to move on this side to get them a clear picture. So this way we can have the ultimate constituent analysis till the ultimate constituents that are morphemes. For ultimate constituent analysis, the end of a word can be a prefix or a suffix beyond which further division of a constituent is not possible. So because beyond which no division is available, so it is known as ultimate division. So I have again short assignment for you people. I have given you two sentences. Leave the book on the shelf, and it has been raining since morning. and I want you to use your knowledge about immediate constituent analysis and that ultimate constituent analysis, and with reference to both of these analysis procedure, try to analyze these sentences, because when you will practically use this knowledge, then you will get a better understanding of this concept. So we have end of our lecture over here, but what we have studied today? Yes, today we started with the syntactic study of the syntax. As I mentioned, syntactic study meant to be horizontal level study of sentences, the different parts of the sentences and their relationship. Then we talked about what are the different ways to syntactically analyze sentences. And I mentioned that there are many methods available to syntactically analyze sentences, but today our major focus was only two of these, that was immediate constituent analysis and ultimate constituent analysis. Immediate constituent analysis that takes a word at final cut, and ultimate constituent analysis that takes morphemes at the final cut. Syntactic analysis means, as I mentioned, many methods are available. So inshallah next week we will continue with the syntax, but with respect to transformational generative grammar. That how, with respect to Chomsky, the proponent of this transformational generative grammar, what are his ideas, what are his propositions with respect to analysis of sentences. So till the next week, we have end of our lecture over here. Allah Hafiz.